It's Friday, January 14. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the government's decision to pay off a US $50 million debt to the Bank of Nova Scotia on behalf of the National Water Commission, the NWC, is a step in the right direction. He addressed the issue when responding to questions from Leader of the Parliamentary Opposition, Mark Goulding.
To the best of my knowledge, as a government guarantees debt, the way in which we have treated with it is permissible and is, and clearly, sort of makes sense. We're doing a couple of things at the same time. We're reducing the Government of Jamaica debt stock. We're reducing the Government of Jamaica foreign debt stock. And we're also providing, fiscal space to the National Water Commission.
Mr. Goulding also asked if the transaction would represent a loan from central government to the NWC that would be carried on the Commission's balance sheet as payable to the state.
From an accounting perspective, does that represent a loan to NWC from central government that will be carried on the balance sheet of Water Commission as a payable to the government?
No, in this case, we chose not to do it that way. It represents a reduction in the liabilities of the NWC. And so a benefit of that to the NWC is that they'll have more, let's use the word fiscal space or financial space to operate. I mean, the NWC, as we know, is constantly under financial duress over a long period of time, and therefore being relieved of this liability and the annual interest cost that is associated with the liability, that provides them with a little breathing room that's represented by the amount of that interest cost.
Both men were speaking at Thursday's sitting of the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament. Jamaica Teachers Association delegates met with government representatives on Thursday. The meeting was held to discuss the government's latest salary offer in the group's ongoing wage talks. The JTA has already rejected the government's previous offer of a 4% salary increase in the ongoing back-and-forth discourse over wage and benefits. The government has not revealed its latest salary offer or what benefits are attached to the offer. We'll have more in this report as the story develops. The government plans to spend $1 billion on equipment for the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF. The funds featured in the second supplementary estimate of expenditure, which was tabled in Parliament this week. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark said the monies will be used to acquire motorbikes, armored vests, and other equipment over the next 10 weeks.
ICT hardware, furniture and equipment, purchase of land for the divisional headquarters of the St. Catherine Division, as well as coastal grid radar power supply for the JDF to allow us to operationalize those radar systems and to improve our domain awareness, as well as other expenditure.
Dr. Clark also spoke on the matter of the wage dispute involving members of the JCF now before the court.
It is a matter in the public domain with respect to the police that there is a matter that's actually before the courts. And out of respect for the courts, I'll not speak to that matter at this time. It is a matter with some history that predates me as minister, that predates this administration. However, as I've done in the past since I was brought into this matter last September, a dignified silence is the preferred approach.
Members of Parliament on Tuesday approved an additional $25.8 billion in spending for the balance of the fiscal year, which ends in March. The additional funds will increase government spending from $867.3 billion to $893.5 billion for the current fiscal year. Traffic cops are in the streets implementing the new Smart Check e-ticketing system. The e-ticketing application, which is supported by the pending Road Traffic Act, is to replace the existing manual traffic ticketing system used by the Jamaica Constabulary Force. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Jang told journalists on Wednesday that the system will promote greater driver discipline on the roadways. The new system should provide a more efficient and accurate alternative to written tickets. Officers are able to issue a printed ticket on the spot with information of the offense, fine, court date, and other information. Speaking to journalists in Halfway Tree this week, Dr. Chang pointed out that the non-compliance would lead to suspension of a driver's license for approximately 6 months to a year. Further non-compliance would result in arrest. The Mandeville Regional Hospital's senior medical officer, Dr. Everton McIntosh, says there were 39 confirmed COVID-19 cases at the hospital on Wednesday. He says the hospital is operating above its COVID-19 bed capacity with only 20 originally reserved for COVID patients. Additionally, Dr. McIntosh says 47 staff members, including 8 doctors, are unable to work due to either COVID-19 isolation or quarantine. He says, despite this, the hospital is still trying to maintain normal services. Business owners, employers are reminded that statutory deductions for December 2021 are due today, January 14. We get this and other stories and market updates in the Business Report with Gabriel Thompson.
Employers are being reminded that statutory deductions S01 for December 2021 are due today, Friday, January 14. In a statement, the Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ outlined the payment options available to taxpayers. Persons can go online via TAJ's website using a valid credit card or other payment products with credit card features such as a Visa debit card. Scotiabank customers are also able to use Scotiabank's electronic funds transfer via TAJ's website, which allows users to make an ACH payment from their bank account directly to TAJ's bank account up to a maximum of $99 million. Taxpayers may also go via the National Commercial Bank's online platform by adding TAJ as a payee. Persons may also opt to use the new direct funds transfer process that allows them to make transfers from any commercial bank to TAJ's bank account and then generate their own receipt on the TAJ website. Additionally, employers can benefit from the employment tax credit if they make their payments on time. Eligible persons must file and pay their monthly statutory payroll deductions on time. Such employers may claim the total amount of payroll statutory contributions for education tax, NHT, NIS, and HART, that is, both the employee and employer portions which have been declared and paid on time for that year. The maximum amount that can be claimed is 30% of the income tax payable in the year of assessment for unregulated entities. For more information, contact TAJ's Customer Care Center at 888-TAX-HELP. That's 888-829-4357, toll-free, or visit the website at www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, January 13, the US dollar sold for an average $155.81. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $124.75. The pound sterling traded for $214.16, and the euro sold for an average $177.09. In Thursday's trading session, the following reflect the movement of the JSE indices. The JSE index declined by 5,492 points to close at under 400,000 units. The junior market index advanced by 62 points to close at over 3,000 units. The JSE combined market index declined by 4,473 points to close at over 400,000 units. The JSE All Jamaican Composite Index declined by 6,554 points to close at over 400,000 units. The JSE Financial Index declined by 1 point to close at over 97 units, and the JSE Manufacturing and Distribution Index advanced by 0.57 points to close at over 100,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 88 stocks, of which 42 advanced, 33 declined, and 13 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited. Stocks declined for Barita Investments Limited, Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, and Caribbean Cement Company Limited. Trading firm were CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares, Cargo Handlers Limited, and Epley 7.5% preference shares. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial was the volume leader with over 3.3 million units, followed by Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 2.8 million units, and JMMB Group Limited 7.5% with over 1.6 million units. In market data for oil, oil futures rose on Friday and were set for a fourth week of gains boosted by supply constraints and a weaker dollar, though an imminent release of crude reserves from China looms. Brent crude futures rose 85 cents or 1% to a two-month high of $85.32 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude gained 58 cents or 0.7% to $82.70 a barrel. Crude prices turned positive as the dollar headed towards what could be its largest weekly fall in more than a year. A weaker dollar makes commodities more affordable for holders of other currencies. And before we go, here's another clip from the Bank of Jamaica's Empowering You video series. Today's clip takes a look at KYC. Know Your Customer and sometimes Know Your Client, KYC or KYC check, is the mandatory process of identifying and verifying the client's identity when opening an account and periodically over time. In other words, banks must make sure that their clients are generally who they claim to be.
I'm going to open that account today. So tell me about that thing you mentioned last night.
KYC?
Yeah, we are talking about opening a bank account. But it sounds like you bring fried chicken in the argument.
KYC. That just means know your customer. It is a process that every regulated financial institution has to go through to confirm the identity of their customers. Them have to know that you are who you say you are.
The warehouse supervisor and the bright science teacher. That will hold them.
Most definitely. For them ask relevant questions to identify you and verify your name, your ID, and where the money come from.
Really put you under the microscope.
They do an assessment to make sure that you're not involved in any money laundering or bandula business. I am sure you don't want your hard-earned money mixed up with any dirty money from any criminal.
That's why them ask so much question.
Then will apply the appropriate know your customer process depending on what you want to do and the type of product you want. Know your customer is a part of any regulated financial business.
So why they don't use the same standard for everybody? That don't make no sense.
But different KYC rules apply depending on the money laundering risk each customer brings. If the bank decides that you're a low-risk client,
that I am not a money launderer or terrorist.
Exactly. If you're low risk, the financial institution can decide to use simplified KYC requirements. But remember though, it all depends on their assessment. It is their decision.
Know your customer. KYC. I see.
And with that, we close this Friday edition of the Business Report inside the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
As we step over to regional news, we begin in Barbados, where a United Nations study is predicting growth for that country.
A new United Nations economic report is forecasting growth for Barbados at 7.5% this year and 3.3% in 2023. However, Chief of Global Economic Monitoring at the UN Department for Economic and Social Affairs, Hamid Rashid, is warning of a bumpy, if not perilous, road ahead for countries across the globe. Rashid was addressing the launch of the UN World Economic Situation and Prospects 2022. The report, which places Barbados as a high-income economy based on per capita gross national income, estimated that the economy grew by 1.5% last year, while global economic growth was estimated around 5.5% last year, after a decline of 3.4% in 2020.
The world economy is certainly in a very difficult spot, and the road ahead is bumpy, if not, what I would say, perilous. We have significant challenges. What happened in 2021, we had some rebound in the global economy, mostly because of a pent-up demand from households were released. Consumer spending went up significantly, investment picked up as well, and that pushed the global growth to a sort of unprecedented 5.5% in 2021. But that is glass half full, or rather half empty, I would say, because it was mostly catching up of the lost growth in 2020.
In Grenada, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sean Charles says the steady increase in COVID-19 cases in Grenada and the demand for testing is becoming a major challenge for healthcare workers. More from GBN News.
Chief Medical Officer Sean Charles says the health system has been under severe pressure due to the increase of COVID-19 cases. The latest health dashboard records Grenada's active COVID-19 cases at 2,551 with a positivity rate at 26.7%. The number have grown rapidly over the past few days.
Our team is under extreme pressure at present. One, the demand for testing is really, really high. All right. I know persons have the experience of going out to our health facilities, and they know that they have to wait some time. In addition, we have, in some instances, staff who become infected because what we have observed more commonly, a family member brings it home. So we have to isolate, or we have to quarantine individuals, which results in a reduction in the number of persons available to actually do the work.
Despite the shortage of staff, 1,800 plus COVID-19 tests recently were conducted.
Our team has so far been able to, overcome the difficulties and still produce the numbers that you are seeing. All right, still produce. I mean, when you look at the number of tests that we're doing and you compare it to many other countries, it's incredible, and I am amazed how they're able to achieve this every day. And we thank them. All right, we thank them, and we hope that the public would be patient and will recognize the human service that they're putting in.
Some have been worried about the reintroduction of a curfew or restrictions on movement in light of the recent rapid increase in reported cases. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell was asked about this possibility during a news briefing today.
And if life is not in danger as it used to be, the question therefore is, putting additional restriction and creating more trauma in the society psychologically, does that worth it? That's the question that we have to answer. And my view is it doesn't worth it at this time. As I pointed out before, if we got into a situation like what we had when Delta occurred, and we start seeing more hospitalization, more deaths, then certainly it will call for some other actions that we have not been taking at this particular time.
Officials continue to urge persons to take advantage of vaccination testing facilities and to observe protocols put in place to keep people safe. For GBN News, I am Rena Pett Thomas reporting.
Still in Grenada, A school principal is accusing some parents of being irresponsible by sending their children to school knowing they are COVID-19 positive. Classroom doors reopened for students across the island on Monday for face-to-face learning. Janelle McDonald reports.
It is back to the classroom for all students for the Hillary school term in a staggered approach as the Ministry of Education attempts to increase face-to-face teaching and learning for students after months of online classes. In St. Andrew, GBN's news team caught up to parents dropping off their children at school and asked how they feel about having their children back in the classroom. While most prefer to comment off camera, they had some positive remarks.
Room, but I'm just a little worried about, with the coronavirus, what's going on around the place. We don't know because teachers not vaccinated, although they want students vaccinated, but teachers not vaccinated, so it kind of bring a worry on us. But I'm quite excited that they're back in the classroom, even though for 2 days, 1 day.
And I'm happy they are back, but still a little bit concerned, but still I'm glad they are back, and I prefer the rotation basis.
Kind of concerned about the COVID situation because it's a matter of life and death based on how you portray yourself. And I think learning is face to face. They will do better. They made the parents, the teachers, the friends.
Yeah, most definitely. Keeping them home is probably a waste of time because they've been home for quite a while. The online classes, of course, that would help, but most of the time, sometimes they need to get the hands on the practical to move forward. So, it's a good gesture.
Schools that are not able to accommodate all students using the 6 feet distancing for full face-to-face learning have been using the phased approach, where students will come in school interchangeably on given days. Principal of the St. Andrews RC School, Barbara Simmons, says they are trying to accommodate half their school population rotationally.
So, on an average day, we have about half of the school's population, which is approximately 200 and, let's say, 32, because we are currently 464. However, we are not getting that full number. So like yesterday, we would have had 77 girls and 88 boys or something like that. The mood at school is sort of subdued. The playground, the yard is not as lively and buoyant as it used to be. And that's understandable because we are trying to keep them calm. Not that they can't play, but they can't play as rowdy as, before.
While some students are still at home due to the effects of COVID-19 on their families, Simmons says her teachers are faced with challenges due to the act of some irresponsible parents.
COVID is so rampant in homes. Parents are not really following the protocols of if there's COVID in the home, you quarantine the children for the 5 days, and if they display no symptoms, you send them. No, you have parents, there is COVID in the home, some of them are still sending the children. Mind you, there are some, very responsible ones who would call in to say, we have tested positive and I'm keeping my child to quarantine and so. But we do have cases where we know that there is COVID in the home and they're still sending them.
Despite this, the principal says they are following all protocols stipulated by the Ministry of Health to ensure that both students and teachers are safe. Parents and teachers alike now await further directives from the Ministry of Education amidst a steady increase in COVID-19 cases throughout the country, which could determine what further adjustments will be made. Wednesday's COVID-19 dashboard shows 365 new confirmed COVID cases, bringing the total active cases to 2,808. 8 people remain hospitalized. For GBN News, Janelle McDonald.
In sports, we bowl off with cricket. Left-hander Jonathan Carter has been called to lead the Barbados Cricket Association President's 11 in a 2020 warm-up against touring England next Wednesday. The 14-man squad will also include fellow West Indies players Keon Harding, Ashley Nurse and Kyle Hope. Former Young West Indies stars Joshua Bishop, Naeem Young and Shamar Springer have also been named to the squad. No spectators will be allowed at the game. England is expected to arrive in Bridgetown, Barbados Saturday for their 5-match T20 International Series against West Indies at Kensington Oval on January 22 to January 30. And now over to football, as Honeybun and Bert's Auto Parts have signed on as sponsors for the 2022 Jamaica Premier League. The signing took place at the Kingston offices of Professional Football Jamaica on Wednesday. Honeybun Chief Marketing and Sales Manager Dustin Chong said the company jumped at the opportunity to contribute to the development of Jamaica's football.
Honeybun is very excited about coming on board with the Jamaica Premier League this year. As a Jamaican company, we are proud to be a sponsor in building the professional football in Jamaica. And we want to be a part. The Jamaica Premier League is something that a lot of Jamaicans enjoy, and we're happy to be a part of that.
The same sentiment was expressed by Bert's Auto Parts Director, Bert Tomlinson.
When the opportunity came to us, it was a no-brainer. It took us a matter of days for us to sign this contract because we said to ourselves, listen, if you sponsor the Jamaica Premier League, you're not only getting a sponsor for your business, you're also helping society. Because guess what? The more revenue that Jamaica Premier League gets, the better the players can benefit, and their communities and their families. So it's very simple.
PFJL Director Nadani Chung welcomed the new signees.
The PFJL continues to proudly engage new sponsors for the Jamaica Premier League. Strategically, we're engaging those brands that resonate with our fans and are as much a part of the Jamaican landscape as the Jamaica Premier League. We're excited to welcome our very first sponsor, Honeybun. Excited to welcome Bert's Auto Parts as one of our sponsors for the season. Bert's, as you know, like our values, our intent on giving back to the society. So it's a partnership that is well deserved.
The 2022 season is scheduled to start in January. And that's our package. You have just watched the news on PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.